Hi guys. Come on in. How we doing tonight? All right, come on in. Welcome, welcome. While we're waiting for Zoom to kind of pull everybody in, can somebody drop into the Q&A and let me know, make sure you can hear me and see me okay? The Q&A button should be down at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you can find it. They keep moving the buttons. I think you might have to click more now to find that button. Oh, I need to hit record. I almost forgot. Come on in, you guys. Welcome. It takes just a few minutes for Zoom to pull everybody in. So while we're waiting, why don't you drop into the Q&A and tell me where you're from and what you teach? Just takes a few minutes for everyone to pull in. Hang on, it's coming. Record. Oh, it's already recording. Okay, I got this. Don't worry, guys. All right. Welcome. Awesome. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? I think we've got people will probably still trickle in here as we get started, but let's go. Let's get started. Um, Hi guys. Yes, thanks for commenting. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Karen. Hi, Kara. Karen and Kara. Awesome. Okay, so good to see you guys. All right, let's go. Oops. Okay, so welcome everybody. My name is Brenna Nelson. I'm a longtime educator turned certified life coach for teachers. So today we are talking about how to stop those really hard, tough teaching moments from ruining your entire day. So I'm going to show you how to completely transform your teaching experience in as little as 10 minutes a day by sharing three simple shifts that you can start to make today to help you stay calm in a classroom that often isn't. Okay, I will teach you what our university professors failed to teach us in our teacher training, which is how to show up as the teacher you want to be without sacrificing your personal life, your joy, your sense of self, or your mental and emotional health. Okay, it is possible to have an amazing, incredible, enjoyable life as an educator. Yes, even in today's world, as we all know, education has changed quite a bit over the past couple of years. So I'm going to show you how to get started today with these three simple yet powerful shifts. Okay, again, if we haven't met, my name is Brenda Nelson. I began my teaching career way back in 2007, and I taught middle school language arts, and I love it. And now I'm a certified life coach for teachers. So I help teachers manage the stress and overwhelm that we inevitably face in the classroom. Nearly all teachers, regardless of what you teach, have tough moments every day, maybe multiple times a day. And I can't wait to share with you how to manage those moments just a little bit better. So again, as you guys are trickling in here, thank you so much for being here. Just by showing up, you are proving that you're an incredible educator who cares about your students and wants to make an impact. So I don't want to waste your valuable time talking about me, so let's jump right into the content, okay? Here is what we have on the schedule for this workshop. First, we are going to explore why one moment can completely derail your day. We're going to just kind of go behind the scenes and see what's happening. Second, we are going to discuss why it's not your fault that this happens. And spoiler alert right now, you haven't done anything wrong. Third, I'll share with you the three key shifts that will help you feel calm even when your classroom isn't, so that you can carry on with teaching and your life. And also, I'll give you a simple in the moment tool that you can use to quickly recover when things go awry, as they so often do. And lastly, I'm going to show you how to get more help beyond this workshop to help you implement these three key shifts consistently for the long term. Also, I have some really awesome bonuses available for you today as a special thank you for just showing up. And I also want this to be really fun and interactive. So I have a $100 Amazon gift card that I can't wait to give away to one of you. So this is how it's going to work. Every time you interact with me by answering a question or asking a question or commenting in that Q&A box, that's what we're using today. each comment is an entry to win that $100 gift card. So you should see it below this video. So jump in there and participate with me, and we will do that drawing at the end of the workshop. Now you do have to be here live to win, so plan to stick around with me. I'll try to get through this as quickly as possible so you guys can get on with the rest of your evening. If you're just joining us a little bit late, no problem. We kicked off our Q&A chat by sharing where you're from and what you teach. Okay, so let's see. Who do we have here with us tonight? We've got Leslie from Tennessee, who teaches first grade. Welcome. We have Tina from Florida, who also teaches first grade. Remy from I need my glasses on. Remy from California, who's a biology teacher. Hi, Remy. And awesome. Okay, I'm so glad you're here. Let's get started, guys. Awesome. Okay. Um, oops, wrong button. Okay, so first I want to hear what you guys think. So, why does one moment seem to ruin your entire day? Okay, maybe you've had a moment like this. Maybe a student says something disrespectful, or it just hits your a nerve in a way you didn't expect, or a parent email comes through with that tone, or your principal gives you feedback that kind of hits you the wrong way, or your code teacher does that one thing again that absolutely drives you crazy, or maybe it's you. Maybe sometimes you snap or you say something that you wish you could take back, or you didn't show up in the way that you would like to. And the moment passes, but it really hasn't passed because that's when those thoughts start, those spiraling thoughts start. Thinking things like, I shouldn't have said that. And they have no respect. They probably think I'm a terrible teacher. This is ridiculous. I shouldn't have to do this. What if the administrator hears about this? The administrator has no idea what this is actually like. Why am I the one always dealing with this? This shouldn't be my problem. I can't believe I handled it that way. They shouldn't be talking to me like that, right? Back and forth, blaming yourself, blaming them, and your brain just keeps on going, trying to solve it, replaying the moment, trying to analyze it, going over every detail. Um, uh, Whether it's during your planning period, while your students are working, or even on the drive home, right? Even if you're in a conversation, you're only half listening because your brain is still working back there, thinking about that tough moment that happened. And maybe later that night, even when everything is quiet, you try to relax, but your mind goes right back to that moment, replaying, reanalyzing, rewriting what you should have said or what they should have done differently. Okay. Now, maybe if you're like me, maybe you've even woken up at 2 or 3 in the morning, and that's the first thing your brain offers you, that moment, that feeling, that intense situation that you dealt with earlier that day. It's exhausting, right? Because it's not just one tough moment anymore. It's a moment that has taken over your entire day and sometimes even longer. And if we're being, and for most of us, it's not a one-time thing, right? It happens over and over again. Our brain gets stuck in a loop, and it's really hard to kind of create that. So some of you are commenting down here about what those moments are like for you. Okay, um, let's see. Anonymous says, I already feel maxed out most of the time. So when something extra happens, even if it's small, it's like the straw that broke the camel's back and I can't let it go. Yes, exactly. That capacity piece is huge, right? Like we feel we're already carrying so much. So when that one thing happens, it's like we can't hold it anymore. Let's see what else. Cheryl says, I find myself feeling embarrassed that I can't handle things better. Oh, this is so good. So there's like the moment itself, right? Whatever happened. And then there's the embarrassment or whatever emotion you feel about the moment that just compounds everything. That's really insightful, Cheryl. Kyle says, I get mad when other people don't do their jobs and I have to pick up the slack. I end up doing what needs to be done, but I'm frustrated and angry about it for the rest of the day, if not longer. Thanks. Oh, Kylie. Sorry. Kylie, not Kyle. Yes, thank you for sharing that. Okay. And Georgie says, my plate is already full. A tough moment just feels like too much. Yeah, I think you guys are spot on, right? Teaching already requires so much from you. So when something extra hits or something out of the ordinary or a little hiccup, even something small, it's not just about that moment. It's that it lands on a system that is already really full. Okay, so if you've ever felt like teaching was too much or too hard, please know you're not alone. Okay, millions of teachers find themselves in the same boat as you do. They feel exhausted emotionally and physically. They feel overworked, underpaid, and underappreciated. Okay, teaching is relentless. You guys know this, right? I'm preaching to the choir here. But few jobs demand so much of your attention, so much energy, and so much emotion all at the same time. The noise is always what gets me. The noise, the constant questions, managing 20 or 30 or more personalities in one room, it's a lot. And it doesn't even stop when the final bell rings at the end of the day. There's always more waiting, right? The grading, the planning, the updating the bulletin boards, right? The list never really ends. So the bottom line is teachers are stressed out. According to the National Teacher and Principal Survey, 77% of teachers feel that their job is stressful, and 68% report feeling overwhelmed. And teaching itself has changed, right? The past several years have really ramped up some of those external pressures. Students are different, and so is the world. Our students face more distractions, shorter attention spans, and higher stress, which often shows up as behavioral challenges for us in the classroom. Meanwhile, teachers are asked to do more with less, okay? Larger class sizes, fewer resources, less parental support, and higher expectations all at the same time. That same survey I mentioned said that found that 66% of teachers are not satisfied with their jobs, and 8% leave the profession every year. That's over 300,000 teachers, guys, just in the US. I know we have some people signed up from outside, but just in the US, that's 300,000 people leaving every year. Okay. And what's more, the stress that teachers experience isn't limited to school stress, right? You have full lives as well. There is world conflict and uncertainty, as we know. There's family concerns, there's financial pressures. It all adds up. So it's no wonder that so many teachers feel stretched thin. Okay, we have really good reasons to feel on edge. Okay, the challenges are real, and those. Excuse me, and it feels really heavy. So it makes sense that we're feeling the way we do. So even with all that, though, okay, here's the truth. Even with all the things that teachers have going on, many teachers are wondering why those tough moments seem to hijack their entire day. And like I said, those external factors are real, but they're not actually the cause of why we feel so terrible in and after those difficult moments, why we can't seem to just let them go. There's something deeper going on, and that's what I want to uncover with you next. But first, I want to tell you a story about when I was in my fourth year of teaching, when I experienced an incident that threw me through a loop for weeks. Okay. Now, at the time, I was teaching eighth grade language arts in North Carolina, and we were planning a field trip to a minor league baseball game. And I was new to the school. I was nominated by my colleagues to collect the $7 fee that was required by each student. Now, I quickly realized why no one else wanted the job. It was very tedious. We only accepted cash, and we were tracking it all at paper at the time. Okay, this was a long time ago. And it was a bit of a nightmare. And I had to like check off each student who paid on two different lists, and I had to keep track of the cash and the little cash box, and I had to write a handwritten receipt for each student. Some of you may not even know what I'm talking about. You had this little book that I had to write a receipt for every student. It was a pain. And so every morning for like 2 weeks, I had long lines of students trying to pay before school started, while my own first period class was waiting, and they were pretty rowdy and pretty impatient, just as a baseline. And so this added activity in the classroom really got them ramped up, right? So stressful didn't even begin to cover it. It felt really overwhelming to me. So to save time and so I could get class started, I started taking payments and marking students on the list, but I started writing the receipts later and distributing them later to the students. And one day I made a mistake. I accidentally gave two receipts to the same student, and I skipped another student. So this student thought that she wasn't on the list and that she wasn't going to be able to go to this field trip. And I didn't know anything about this, but the next morning, this student, and she wasn't one of my students. She had another teacher, but she came into my room first thing in the morning, followed with her mother directly behind, and I could see immediately she was upset. And this mother immediately began yelling at me and accusing me of mismanagement, which was fair. I had made a little mistake, and she accused me of stealing her daughter's money and all sorts of terrible things about me. And for like 10 minutes, I sat there and just while this teacher, or not this teacher, this parent yelled at me, and right in front of my whole first period class, and I really didn't even know what to do. Eventually, she calmed down enough that I could explain that there had probably just been a mistake, and I promised I would find it and fix it. And I remembered her daughter coming in, and we'd figure it out, and which I did. I figured it out pretty quickly, and her daughter had her receipt within like an hour. Okay, so problem solved, right? No big deal. Situation's over. Maybe for the student. Maybe for the parent, but not so much for me. I was a mess. I was humiliated. I was angry. I was frustrated. And I was feeling a lot of shame. My mind was spinning endlessly. Like, what were my students thinking while all this was happening? And what about their parents? Because surely they were going to go home and tell them what had happened. My colleagues probably thought I was incompetent. Maybe I was incompetent. I had all these thoughts going on in my head, and I replayed it over and over. And honestly, it haunted me for weeks. I even considered quitting at one point because I just didn't have the emotional and cognitive tools to stop this spiral. So, looking back now, I can see exactly what I was missing. I didn't have a system to recover from tough moments like that. So, that's what these three shifts I am going to teach you in this workshop are all about, how to recover from those tough moments. So, if you've ever felt overwhelmed by a classroom moment, whether it's something big or something small, if you've ever found yourself reacting or getting defensive or completely shutting down, it's not your fault, okay? It's your biology. This kind of a response is a normal response. It doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean that you can't handle your job. It's not a personality flaw. It's the way that your brain and body are wired to protect you in high stress moments. Okay. I want you to know there's nothing wrong with you. And here's the good news, those. Here's the good news. Those same patterns can be changed. Okay. These three shifts that I will show you in just a second will help you override that automatic response so that you can handle those tough moments in a completely different way. So back to my story. A couple years later, well, I guess eventually I was able to let it go. Okay, probably sometime over the summer break, I eventually stopped spiraling about that parent interaction. But to be honest, that wasn't the only time that I felt emotionally hijacked by those tough moments. Big and small moments would pretty often send me into a similar spiral. Can any of you relate to that? Maybe it's a student who said something disrespectful, or an administrator who made an insensitive comment. You guys tell me. Maybe drop that in the comments, in the Q&A box down there. We all have these moments that send us through a loop. And since you're here, I'm guessing that you probably have one on your mind. Uh, well, one day, shortly after this incident, I was venting to a friend about life. Actually, this wasn't shortly after, it was a couple years later. I was venting to a friend about life, and I was probably being really negative. And she very kindly and very patiently listened before asking, "Hey, Brenda, have you ever heard of this podcast?" And she named this podcast, and I hadn't heard of it. It was a podcast that was hosted by a life coach, which is something I hadn't even heard of at that point. And I actually laughed and I said, "A life coach? Who needs a coach for their life? That's so sad." And this nice friend, she's so nice. So she gave me this look that was like, "Oh, Brenna, honey, you do." And she's much too kind to say anything like that out loud. But I picked up on it and I felt really humbled, and I decided that I would tune in. And I'm forever grateful that I did, because that podcast completely changed my life. No, not even hyperbole here. I had no idea that there was another way to think, another way to use my brain to change the results I was getting in my classroom and in every other area of my life. The podcast was by Jody Moore, and her tools helped me in every area of my life. Like I said, parenting, teaching, all the relationships that I had, even how I handled stress and how I went after my goals. So I ended up binging like every episode of this podcast, and I eventually joined her coaching program, in which I learned even more powerful tools to manage my mind, my emotions, and my life, and so on. So, right about this time, it was all about 2019, okay? And shortly after, 2020 came along, right? And you all know what happened. The pandemic hit. Do you guys remember this? It somehow feels like just yesterday and a million years ago at the same time. So we had schools shutting down, Teachers everywhere were struggling, trying to hold it all together through these impossible, new, crazy circumstances. And I kept thinking, if only teachers had access to these same tools, it wouldn't erase the challenges, but it would make them feel so much more manageable. And that's when it hit me that teachers needed a life coach. And then another thought follows shortly after, well, why not me? And at first I was hesitant to be honest, but eventually I decided to do it. I went all in, and by the end of 2022, I was a certified life coach. So now I get to help teachers transform their classrooms and their lives. Um, so that those emotions don't, those tough moments don't have to hijack them. Okay. Teaching is tough. It's tough enough already, and doing it while spiraling emotionally makes a hard job even harder. And over time, as I've coached teachers, I've noticed that there are three key shifts that if teachers make, they too can handle those tough moments in a much healthier and a much more positive way. So are you ready? Here we go. Are you ready to learn the three shifts to stay calm in a classroom that isn't? Let's go. Okay, the first shift is to move from blame to understanding what is happening inside our brains. Okay. Now, most teachers, including me, think or have thought that it is the external circumstances that are causing them to feel terrible, to spin in negative emotion. All the things that we talked about earlier that make teaching feel so hard, student misbehavior or their apathy, the passive aggressive coworker, the workload, the administrators, and so on. We have a natural tendency as humans to blame other people or outside circumstances for the way that we feel, like they are the problem or the situation is the problem. Or we have a tendency to blame ourselves, like something is wrong with us, right? So what's the matter with me? Why can't I handle this? Like I'm the problem. And this makes perfect sense. But the truth is, none of those things are what make us spin endlessly in negative emotion. So what is it then? The real cause is actually your brain. Now, we could go really deep into the brain science here. I kind of love to nerd out on this, but you don't really need to know all of that to understand what is happening. What you do need to know is this: you have a part of your brain that I often call the primitive brain, and its only job is to keep you safe, to literally keep you alive. And this part of your brain is constantly scanning your environment for threats, not just a physical threat, but a social threat too, okay? Things like a conflict with a student or a tough interaction with a parent, feeling judged, feeling disrespected, or feeling out of control. And here's the important part. Your brain doesn't always know the difference between something that's actually dangerous for you and something that just kind of feels or something that just feels threatening, okay? So when that tough classroom moment happens, your brain sounds the alarm and your body responds like something is wrong, we are not safe. And your body physiologically responds as if you are in imminent danger. Okay, your brain is telling your body to react as if you're literally facing a life-threatening situation. Like you might die if you do not solve this problem right now. That is why it feels so intense when you have these tough moments. Okay, even if it's just a social threat, not just like we know those are real. That's why we can't just let it go. And that's why it follows you around for the rest of the day, even if it is quote unquote something that is relatively small. Now, when this alarm goes off, your body can go into a few different types of stress responses. You might get really reactive or feel on edge. You might shut down and go really blank in your brain, or you might just feel really overwhelmed and want to literally run away and to escape the situation. So different teachers are going to experience this differently, but it's all the same system. Okay, and this is really important. It's not a character flaw. It's not that you're not patient enough or that you're not cut out for teaching. It's none of that. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do, to protect you. But here's the problem. These protective responses don't actually help you in the classroom, right? I know it happens, and I'm not trying to minimize that, but very rarely are we actually in a life-threatening situation in class. And I don't want to minimize any of that. We all know the realities that we're in. But most of the time, for most people, we're not in imminent danger. So these responses, they're often backfiring and they tend to make things feel even worse and keep you stuck in that moment long after it is over. Okay, now you also have another part of your brain The prefrontal cortex, this is the part of your brain that helps you to think clearly, it helps you stay calm, it helps you problem solve, and respond to some of these problems in more useful ways. This is the part of your brain that helps you be more patient, feel grounded, and that is even capable of rational and intentional thinking. Okay. This is the part of the brain that we want online most of the time, right? It's kind of, sometimes I call it the CEO of the brain. When that stress response kicks in, if you are overwhelmed or emotionally flooded, you temporarily lose access to that part of your brain. Okay, so it's not that you don't know what to do in that tough moment. It's that you literally can't access that part of your brain that will help you navigate it. And again, this is normal. This is how your brain is designed. Okay, it's turned off like that rational thinking part and it's ramped up the survival part. Remember, your brain thinks you're in a life-threatening situation. Um, and here's the good news. You don't have to stay stuck there. You can override the primitive brain's response. Okay. The first step in doing that is understanding what's happening. Okay. That shift I was talking about, understanding your brain. That alone can help to change things for you. It can help you be more compassionate and more understanding with yourself, which is really important. Okay, but even more powerful, you can learn how to calm your system in the moment. So to restore a sense of safety so that you can get back to that version of you who knows exactly how to handle those tough moments. Okay, and that's where the next shift comes in. Shift number two is to regulate instead of react. Now, for most of us, when our system is activated, when we're stressed, overwhelmed, or emotionally flooded, that's when that lower brain takes over. And when that happens, a few things start to change. We become more reactive. Things feel more personal. Small problems start to feel really big. So you might notice yourself snapping at students. Okay, that's what I do. I tend to snap and yell and say things that, that I would not normally say under normal circumstances. That's my personal response. You might notice yourself feeling constantly on edge. You might be overthinking everything. You might find yourself feeling offended by even the tiniest slight that probably was unintentional anyway. Okay. And also, this being in this state is really exhausting. So if you might notice yourself feeling absolutely exhausted by the end of the day, right? And over time, this kind of state, this stress response state that we're in, it can start to feel normal. Like stress response is your baseline. That's where we're operating from most of the time if we're not taking care of these systems. Okay, and here's the problem: when we're living in that state, it doesn't just feel bad, which it does, but when you're living in that state, like I said, it makes everything so much harder, including teaching. You have less patience, you have less clarity, you have less access to the solutions you actually need because that primitive brain, that survival brain, is working overtime. And that's where the burnout starts to build. That's when it starts to kick in. It's not because you're doing too much necessarily, but because your system is stuck in overdrive. Okay, you might notice it, like I said, in your body, the tension, like in your jaw or in your shoulders, the fatigue. We all know there's no tired like teacher tired, right? A lot of that is coming because we're in a stress response all the time. You might have trouble relaxing, even at home. Like you can't ever fully turn it off, right? Can you guys relate to that? So, what does it actually look like to regulate instead of just react in that stress response? Well, it starts in the body. And I know that might feel a little backwards because most of us, our natural response is to try to think our way through those tough moments, right? Like, what should I say? What should I do? How can I fix this? But when your system is activated, this is no longer a thinking problem. We can't solve it with cognitive thinking. It's now a physiological one. So we have to start by calming the body first. That's how you signal to your brain, hey, we're actually safe here. We're okay. So, step one is to regulate your nervous system. That's that system, that alarm system that's going off. It's about bringing your body out of that stress response so you're no longer in fight, flight, or freeze. Then comes step number two, which is processing any emotions you may have. And this is actually something that most of us were never really taught how to do. Uh, we're getting better at talking about it, but it's not the skill of allowing and processing emotion is not something that someone sits us down and shows us what to do, right? So instead we push our emotions down, maybe we numb them with food or social media, or we just stay stuck in them for a really long time. But emotions are actually meant to move through you. When you allow an emotion without resisting or overthinking it, they pass through you much more quickly than you think they would. If you do this right, any emotion will only last for about 90 seconds. So, all those emotions that we feel stress, overwhelm, frustration, anger, disappointment, agitation, and so on there's so many of them they only last for a minute and a half if we allow them and process them the right way. So, after that parent yelled at me, I wasn't processing emotions. I probably couldn't have even because my nervous system was telling my body that I wasn't safe in that place. So, therefore, those emotions lasted for much longer than 90 seconds. It was more like 90 days, seriously. So if you they will stay in us if we do not process them, okay? If you try to solve problems using your prefrontal cortex when you're in these stress responses, that thinking, uh, uh, excuse me, it can feel really hard. It feels really impossible if we haven't regulated and processed emotions first. Okay, but when you do, everything else becomes easier. You can think clearly, you can respond intentionally, you can handle the moment the way you want to. And when you're ready, then you can let things go. Okay, that's. Oh, last, I forgot I added this. Okay, so these two things, regulating your nervous system and processing your emotions, are skills. Okay, which means they can be learned, they can be practiced and improved, just like any skill that we might teach our students or pick up as a hobby. Okay, and this matters because, like I said, most of us were not taught how to do this. So instead, we respond in default ways, pushing things away, numbing out, or staying stuck in that stress. And again, it's not a personal failure if you're doing this. It's just what your brain has learned to do thus far in your life. But these really aren't nice to have skills. They're foundational to having a healthy emotional life. Because when you learn to regulate and process what you're feeling, you come back to that calm, clear, and intentional version of yourself, the one who responds instead of reacts, and the one who leads the room. And from that place, everything else changes. Now, I wanted to give you here. Before we get to our third shift, I threw this in here last minute because I wanted to give you something practical that you can start using right away. You can use this tomorrow in your classroom if you need to. I call this the instant calm formula. And I want to be clear, this isn't the full solution. I don't have time to teach you the full solution today, but I wanted you to walk away with something that you can do when you have one of those moments and you can feel your blood pressure rising and things feel really intense. I wanted to give you something that can help counteract that. Um, this is really simple, but sometimes it's the simple things that make a huge difference. So here's, like I said, it's the instant calm formula. Here's how it works. You start by just placing your hand on your heart, right over your sternum, right in the middle, and apply a little bit of pressure, just a gentle, supportive pressure, right? And then we breathe. We're going to take a slow breath in, and then an even slower breath out. And repeat. And that's it. Okay, now this, like I said, this seems really simple, but there's a physiological reason why this works. Okay, putting your hand over your heart signals safety to your brain. The slight pressure kind of acts like a supportive hug from someone that you might trust. And when you feel that, your brain releases oxytocin, which is a feel-good hormone that counteracts stress hormones like cortisol that are probably coursing through you when you have one of those tough moments. Okay, so, and then slowing your breath and breathing intentionally, that signals to your body that we're okay by activating something that's called the vagus nerve, which plays a huge role in slowing down the nervous system's automatic stress response. Okay, so instead of staying in that stress response, your system starts to settle. So, it's really simple, and I will email this out to you after this presentation so that you can have this. But it's changes everything. It's like again, it's really simple. But try this at home, try this in your classroom, and see how it works. I kind of rushed through that, but hopefully you get the idea. This is something that you can do in real time. And no one even has to know. Your students don't even are probably not paying attention anyway, right? So I didn't mean that, but they're not going to notice if you pause for a moment and breathe with your hand on your heart. Okay, it's a quick reset. It's a way to come back to yourself so that you can respond in that moment instead of react and continue that spiral. Okay. But here's the key. It's just the starting point because real lasting change comes from learning how to regulate consistently, to process emotions fully and lead your mind on purpose. That is the deeper work that will make a huge difference. And that leads us to our third and final shift for today. Even after you've processed your emotions and calmed your body, there's still one more piece, right? Your brain is still wired to default to those old negative thought patterns, especially when we're stressed. That's why sometimes, even after a quick reset, like the instant calm formula, the same old frustration or overwhelm can creep back in. Okay, that's why even after a weekend away or a week off of spring break, some of us are just getting back from spring break. Um, you do even after a week off or even summer break off, we default back to those stress responses in the same way we did because we haven't rewired our brain. Okay, our brain is still the same. So if you want something different, if you want to respond calmly and confidently and intentionally, you have to lead your own mind. You have to create a new default response, which means you have to rewire your brain so that it works for you instead of against you. Okay, we're overriding those natural tendencies that our brain has, those protective mechanisms that I told you about. Okay, let me back up just a little bit here. A little bit of brain science. Bear with me. I love this stuff. Your brain thinks thousands of thoughts a day. Okay, the average human thinks around 60,000 thoughts every single day. And I would bet the teachers that number is a lot higher. Okay, most of those thoughts are on autopilot. Now, the problem is the more that we think a thought, those automatic thoughts, the stronger that neural pathway becomes in the brain. And our brain prefers what's easy, what's familiar and comfortable, even if those things aren't helping us, which is why changing old patterns feels so hard. It's easier for the brain to default to the same thinking, the same reactions, the same stress than it is to create something new. Um, like, have you ever tried to stop a bad habit or start a new one? It's really tough, right? Because those brain patterns are so strong. The same thing happens when we are trying to create a sense of lasting calm in our classroom. So, but here's the good news. Okay, it is possible to do it. Our thoughts are what create our emotions. Every emotion we feel comes from something that we're thinking in our brain, either conscious or unconscious. Most of them, like we said, are unconscious. So, if we want to feel differently in our classrooms or in any situation in our life, we start by noticing what we're thinking. And then we can intentionally think new thoughts that create new emotions, which lead to better actions and better results. Okay, this is what I mean when I say we need to lead our mind in this third shift. It's using that higher brain, that prefrontal cortex I told you about a minute ago, to rethink, rewire, and create new neural pathways. Okay, through this, you can make calm, confidence, or joy your new default instead of stress or frustration. Okay, remember how for so many of us, stress is our baseline? We want to bring it down so that our baseline is calm. Okay, we can do that by using the power of our brain. So, shift number two, the last one, it will give you the skills to handle those emotions and handle your nervous system in the moment. But shift number three is all about changing those patterns that created the emotion in the first place. Okay. So when I work with my teacher clients, we approach this challenge from both directions. Starting first from the bottom up, we start by calming the body and regulating the nervous system and handling that physiological response. And then we also work top down. We work on those thinking patterns that create the emotions by reframing your thoughts so that you stop getting hijacked by whatever happened during your day and alter those thought processes that are creating the problem for you, the extra problems, right? Does that make sense? This is so empowering for teachers. Maybe drop in the comments if this is making sense. Um, this is so empowering to learn because when you lead your mind, you're no longer the victim of a student's misbehavior. A rowdy class period doesn't dictate your mood for the rest of the day or affect your sense of self-worth. A mediocre teacher evaluation doesn't send you into a spiral for months and make you question every career choice you've ever made, okay? You gain control over how you experience your day, okay? And you have far more power in this than we've been led to believe. Okay. When you lead your own mind, you're also in a position to be emotionally lead your classroom. Okay. Think about it. Somebody is already leading your classroom. So the question is it you? If it's not you, it's probably whoever has the loudest, most dysregulated nervous system. And that's usually a recipe for chaos. I know we love our students, but we've all had that one student in the classroom that kind of sets the tone, right? And when they're absent, there's like a dramatic difference when they're away. Okay. That's who's leading your classroom. And it usually doesn't work out very well, right? We love those students. But we as the teachers, we want to be the one that sets the tone. We want to be the thermostat in the room, not the thermometer. We don't want to react to the emotional temperature that someone else is setting in the room. We want to choose the tone of the room. We decide calm, focused, engaged, productive, whatever it is you want to create in your classroom, okay? So when you understand your brain and learn how to regulate your nervous system, all these things, you stop living in survival mode, right? So many teachers are spending their entire careers in this survival mode. That's why it feels so terrible. It's why people don't want to be in this career for the long haul because it's not sustainable, right? When you understand this, you make these shifts. You don't wake up already bracing for the day. One hard moment doesn't follow you home. You're not thrown off by every disruption or every request that comes your way. Instead, you can respond with clarity, you can recover quickly, and you stay grounded, even when your classroom isn't, okay? You become that emotional leader of your classroom. A regulated teacher, I want to be really clear, a regulated teacher doesn't have fewer challenges, okay? They just don't get taken down by them. They can think clearly under pressure. They can trust themselves in hard moments and they stop asking, what's wrong with me or why can't I figure this out? Because they understand this is just my brain, this is just my nervous system, and I know how to guide this. And that changes everything, okay? It changes how you handle behaviors, how you respond to parents, how you feel at the end of the day. Not because teaching got any easier, but because you got stronger. Okay, this is the shift from reacting to responding, from spiraling to feeling steady, from emotional exhaustion to emotional control. Okay, and once you experience it, you realize you don't need a different class, a different school, or a different career even to feel better. You just need a different way of leading yourself. Okay, you can change, make those changes if you want to, but you don't have to wait for that to happen before you start to feel better. Okay, I want to tell you for a moment about my story, my client page. It's not her real name. Any client stories that I do share are pseudonyms to protect their anonymity. But when Paige signed up to work with me, she was at her absolute wits' ends with her students. She felt like her students were out to get her. They were trying to ruin her career and even her life. Every unpleasant moment at school, and there seemed to be a lot of them, sent her spinning. So by making these three shifts, Paige learned how to recognize when her amygdala, that primitive brain, was firing a false alarm, when it was trying to keep her safe unnecessarily, even if the threat, quote unquote threat, was just a seventh grader tapping their pencil, right? We all know how annoying that can be. So once she understood that, she could notice in real time, oh, my brain thinks I'm in danger. I'm not, I'm just overwhelmed. And that sense of awareness gave her a pause button that she'd never had before. So instead of freaking out at her students and guilt tripping herself afterwards, she could respond with intention. Okay, she started using some quick regulation tools like the instant calm formula I shared with you a moment ago. And instead of spiraling, she calmed her body before things escalated. And over time, she was able to rewire her brain. So moments that used to trigger that fight or flight response didn't hit her the same way. Her new pattern became pause, breathe, and then respond calmly. And her students even noticed. She told me once that a student who had once been like her biggest trigger came and said, like, you're different. You don't even yell anymore. You just like talk to us. And she realized that all of this wasn't about being a perfect teacher, right? There's no such thing. It was about understanding her brain, calming her body, and training herself to respond a little bit differently. Okay, so how are we feeling, guys? Want to check in the Q&A here for a minute. How are you feeling? Or how many of you are excited to learn about these three shifts? Okay, how many of you are feeling a little overwhelmed? Like, whoa, this is a lot. I know I probably packed too much in there, but I really wanted to give you some value for your time, okay? It's okay if you're feeling a little bit like this guy right now. The truth is, I really can't teach you uh everything in this short session to completely change your experience, but I hope to give you enough key ideas, and tools that you can start to use immediately. Okay. Um, so, okay. Okay. Just checking in on the Q&A. Okay. So like I said, do you think that this could work for you? Okay. If you practice these three shifts that I shared, maybe just 5 or 10 minutes a day, a couple times a week, working to understand your brain, to fully process those difficult emotions, to regulate your nervous system, to rewire your brain to work with you and not against you, do you think you could create a better teaching experience or a better life for yourself? Okay. Let me know what you think in that Q&A, okay? Now, you've heard the three shifts, and maybe a part of you is saying, yes, this makes sense. You can see how moving out of survival mode into self-leadership could change everything. But here's the truth. Knowing the shifts is not the same as living them. Someone asked in the Q&A, how do we actually process the emotions? How do we actually do this? And that's such a good question. Okay, because it doesn't come naturally to us. It's not something that we're born knowing. Okay, like I said earlier, these are skills that we have to learn. And when you're standing in front of 25 students and somebody blurts something out and your heart rate spikes and your brain goes into fight or flight, that's not the moment that your mind is like, oh, yes, let me calmly apply the three shifts I once learned in a webinar. Okay. It doesn't work that way. What takes over in those moments instead is your nervous system, your default wiring, and your practiced emotional response, not your intentions, not your logic, not your reasonable, rational brain. So without these skills to regulate, you go right back to those old patterns, spiraling and blaming yourself or the situation. Okay. For many teachers, the problem isn't they don't know what to do. The problem is they don't have the emotional cognitive skills to do this when it matters the most in those tough moments. It's not a part of their hardwiring yet. Okay. This work isn't about trying harder, it's about training your brain. Okay. And like I told you earlier, this is not something most of us were taught. So think back to your teacher training classes at college or university. You were probably trained in lesson plans and classroom management. I was an English teacher, so I had a lot of literature classes and grammar and all that kind of writing, all those kinds of things. No one taught us how to manage your own stress in the middle of a hard moment. They leave and this is where teachers get stuck, right? They leave some of these trainings feeling inspired, like, oh, I know what to do now. But then the next moment hits and they're right back in that survival mode. Not because they're broken or because they don't care, or they don't know what to do. It's just they don't have the system to implement it. Okay, these tools, like I said, weren't part of your training. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or out of alignment with the teacher you want to be, it's not your fault. We were kind of set up to fail, right? We're asked to handle these high pressure situations without being shown how to manage your mind and your emotions first. Okay, so the question is, to what somebody said a moment ago, how do you actually start applying these three shifts? Okay, well, this is exactly what I do, and why I became a life coach, just to help teachers learn these skills. But I hit a bit of a roadblock, to be honest with you, when I first started my coaching practice. During my certification at the life coach school, I noticed something really interesting. I was there with all kinds of people from every other profession, and what I learned was that every other profession has access to life coaches. Okay, doctors, lawyers, business executives, entrepreneurs, nurses, even massage therapists. Okay, I had a friend who was that I learned met through the school who was a life coach for massage therapists. But teachers, there was not so much. There's a couple of them actually out there right now. We need a few, we need more, we need lots more. But here's the kicker. Part of my training included business training because I'm an English teacher. Like, what do I know? And several of my business mentors in this training told me, don't focus on teachers. They said they can't afford to pay you what coaching is worth. You should change your niche immediately. They told me to stop. They told me that this is not a good idea. And I get what they're saying because life coaching isn't cheap. They tell us in our training that entry level coaches are not to charge less than $100 an hour for coaching. And these high-end coaches who are coaching like really, successful lawyers and doctors and whatnot, they charge 10 to 20 times that much, you guys. And honestly, for the people that are paying that, it's worth it because the tools are so life-changing. And I get what they were saying, right? Teachers' finances are sometimes really tight, right? Especially in today's economy. I myself have taught in multiple states with some of the lowest salaries in the country. Like they were bottom five at the time. So I get it. Um, and I also know that teachers' time is really tight, right? You're very limited. You can't show up to a session at 11 o'clock in the morning. And after school and evening or weekend coaching sessions aren't always possible with your busy schedules as well. You have lives, you have families, you have friends, you have other things outside of school. So I asked myself, how can I provide teachers with the skills and the tools that they need on their own time and without breaking the bank. So I came up with a solution that would work. And this was my solution. I took everything that I was using with my one-on-one clients, all the tools, the skills, the exercises, and the processes that we go through, and I turned it all into a self-guided and self-paced course. Now, this course teaches you how to make these three shifts in a way that sticks, okay? This course will show you exactly how to manage and allow and process those emotions, how to calm your nervous system and expand your capacity. It will teach you how to use your brain to lead your classroom from a place of calm. It will show you how to transform your experience as a teacher on your own time without that high cost of private coaching. I spent almost 2 years creating this course and this package for teachers who are ready to move on from the stress as the baseline and go from overwhelmed to calm, to empowered, to thriving by learning how to use the incredible power of their brain. Okay. If you want lasting results, if you want to feel calmer, more confident, and in control for the long haul, this is the way. Okay. Calm in the classroom isn't just information, it's brain training. It's step by step. I will teach you how to develop the emotional and cognitive skills to make those three shifts, both in your life and in your classroom. Okay. Now, I can already hear some of you tuning out and thinking, I don't have time for a course. Okay, I cannot possibly add one more thing in my life. And I can appreciate that. I know how busy teachers are. But please know that your brain, first of all, will always tell you the reasons why something won't work. And I do really get it. Okay, teaching takes so much of your time and energy. But here's the thing, that's actually part of the problem. Okay, this work, this course, it doesn't add more to your plate. It changes how you experience what's already on your plate. Okay, you don't even need extra hours. You don't need to try harder. What you need is fewer emotional spirals and more steadiness in the moments you're already living. Now, when you learn these skills, you actually spend less time replaying the day in your head, less time dreading tomorrow, and more time actually present with your life in a way that feels authentic, it feels good, it feels energizing. It doesn't take hours a day, just a few minutes, a few times a week is enough to start making a difference. Now, in this course, like I said, I'll guide you step by step so you can change your brain and create a teacher life that you actually want and love. Okay. And the best part is you're gaining back time, that all that time that you've been spending spinning and stress and overwhelm so you can feel calmer and clearer and more in control every day. Okay. Now, if you've made it this far with me, you might be thinking, Brenna, this all sounds a little woo-woo, a little weird, right? Feeling your feelings, changing your brain. Like, really, this is weird. And you know what? You'd be right. It does sound a little strange at first. 10 years ago, I would have thought the exact same thing. I even told you I scoffed when a friend suggested that I listen to a life coach podcast. But looking back, I can see how completely wrong that thinking was. I was just uninformed. Okay, this framework, these three keys to changing your brain can truly transform your life. Now, here's the thing. Like I said, we aren't taught to feel. We aren't taught how to regulate or how to work with our brains. So at first, it does feel really foreign. It feels different. But what if this foreign idea is exactly what you need to improve your life and your career? Okay, most advice that we're given on making improvements, most of the like gurus, they will focus on changing your circumstances or your behavior. And it doesn't stick, right? Because it doesn't address the root cause of your stress, our thinking and our brain. So this work that I'm going to share with you is different. It works underneath the behavior at the brain and nervous system level where your experience actually begins and is created. Okay, so if nothing else has worked for you, this could be the missing link. I know it was for me. You don't need more strategies, you don't need more tips or life hacks or whatever. You need skills for the moments when those strategies fail. And that's exactly what that I teach in this course. Okay. Now, maybe you're thinking, isn't changing our thoughts to something more positive just another form of toxic positivity? And I totally get where you'd be coming from because toxic positivity is not useful. However, that is not what we're doing here, okay? In my programs, I teach teachers how to fully manage the negative emotions that will inevitably come our way, okay? Knowing these skills would not have made me feel good when that parent cussed me out in front of 38th graders, right? Okay, I wasn't going to pretend like that was fun. Um, I still would have felt pretty terrible, but I could have greatly limited the control that that experience had over me for weeks on end. Okay. Sometimes I teach this in my class, sometimes it's appropriate or unavoidable to feel negative emotions, right? When tragedy strikes, when our students misbehave, when your teacher bestie switches schools, or when changes happen that you don't agree with, right? We don't want to feel good about those things, right? It's appropriate to have negative emotions. We're not going to ignore reality or sugarcoat teaching to make it seem more palatable for us, okay? What I do is I teach you how to process those emotions fully, how to move through them instead of resisting them or pushing them down. Because when we resist emotions, they actually intensify. And that's when we create suffering for ourselves, okay? We don't have to suffer. So once you learn these skills from this course, you'll discover something powerful that you can handle anything. You'll build resilience, strength, and the confidence to face whatever your classroom or life throws your way. Okay, and I also maybe you're thinking, I get it, but Brenna, like you don't know my situation. My school, my class, my circumstances are different. These three shifts won't work for me. Okay, and that's a real valid concern. And you would be right. I don't know most of you personally. I don't know the specifics of your classroom, but what I do know is how the human brain works. And I know the common pitfalls that they tend to fall into. So I can teach you how to not just avoid those pitfalls, but how to leverage the power of your brain to create a life that feels meaningful and more manageable to you. Okay, these tools aren't tied to one specific circumstance. They work for anyone. Your brain is the most powerful tool that you have at your disposal. And I'll show you how to use it so that no matter the challenges you face, you can handle them with confidence, clarity, and calm. Okay, and you might also be thinking, this is something that I hear a lot when I talk to teachers about this. We talked at the beginning about how teachers everywhere are struggling, right? So you might be thinking, if teachers everywhere are struggling, if this is a systemic problem, shouldn't we be focusing on changing the system? And if that's what you're thinking, I'm so glad because yes, right? I absolutely agree that we should work to improve schools, teaching conditions, offer more support for our students more than ever, right? Those changes are needed. Like we know that, like 100%. But here's the truth. We need to change our inner world before we can effectively change the outer world. Okay, it starts with us. We learn to get stronger first. Then we can approach our system, our schools, and our students with clarity, calm, and influence. And I say that for a few reasons. Firstly, your brain comes with you wherever you go. Okay, you could change schools, you could get a new administrator, we could get a whole new curriculum overhaul, we could pass laws, and you can even get switch completely different careers, right? But if you haven't trained your brain will still find problems. Our brains are wired to notice negativity as a protective mechanism. So the novelty of a new circumstance may help temporarily, but without doing this inner work, those old patterns will resurface over time. Okay, remember, this is the way that our brains are designed. Okay, and secondly, waiting for the system to change will keep you stuck. Okay, if you are sitting back and waiting for the students to be different, or the parents to behave differently, or the administrator to come up with a better policy or rule or whatever, or the whole system to change, you are putting yourself in the position of the powerless victim. Okay. We don't want to have to wait on other things outside of us before we feel better, right? We're totally at the mercy of things that we don't have a lot of control over, right? We can't control our students or the principal. If I knew how, I would tell you. I would tell you exactly how to do it if I knew how, but we can't. It's not possible. So, and additionally, change in the world can be slow, it can be unpredictable, and it can even be counterproductive sometimes, as teachers know all too well. But your brain and your nervous system, you can change those right now. So, taking care of your brain first, you're empowered and you can handle obstacles better. You can navigate challenges better and even become a catalyst for meaningful change in your classroom, school, and beyond. So, I always recommend that teachers start by learning how to manage tough moments now. And then they can go work on changing the system because you know what's really hard? You know what's really tough? Is changing systems. Okay, so you're going to need the skills and the tools that I want to teach you so that you can go and be that effective change in the world. Okay. The bottom line is you don't have to wait for anyone else to feel better. You can start to feel better right now. Okay. So if you join the Calm in the Classroom, here's what you'll get when you join. You'll get practical tools to stay calm in the moment and redirect students without letting the situation hijack your emotions. You're going to get step-by-step strategies to stop the spiral, to process difficult emotions so that one tough interaction doesn't spiral into a stressful day, week, or even year. Okay. You'll learn simple nervous system regulation techniques that will help you reset quickly, even in the middle of a challenging class period, and will expand your nervous system's capacity. Okay. We can actually train our nervous system to handle more and not go into that fight or flight mode quite as often. Okay. You will also be able to respond with calm confidence, regardless of what happens or doesn't happen in your classroom or in your life. Okay. What this course ultimately teaches you is how to leave school at school. You will be able to walk out at the end of the day feeling lighter, calmer, and more like yourself instead of carrying everything home. You'll have the bandwidth to show up a little bit better for the people who matter the most to you, your friends, your family, and loved ones. And you'll be able to live your life without the emotional weight of the classroom dragging you down and dragging through every other area of your life. Okay. Those tough classroom moments do not have to rule your entire world. Okay, so let's talk some logistics really quickly. When you enroll in the Common the Classroom course, you will get instant and lifetime access to all the content. You don't have to pay a monthly fee. This is not a membership, it's a one-time investment for you. And through a series of video lessons, I will teach you the tools, skills, and concepts behind each module. Now, there are 5 modules in this framework, which coincide with everything we've talked about today. Okay, these 3 shifts. Here's a quick look at each module. The module 1 is understanding the problem. We're going to dive deep into how our brains, though well-intentioned, often backfire and create more emotional distress. Okay, by understanding the problem at its source, we can stop treating the symptoms and start changing the brain itself. In module 2, we're going to learn all the skills of emotions. Well, somebody asked earlier how to process emotions. Like I said, we're going to learn all that. I will take you step by step exactly how to do that. And I have exercises and processes that will take you through that entire thing. We'll also cover some common instinctual reactions to emotions that we all do naturally that actually make things worse that you'll want to avoid. In module 3, it's all about the nervous system. And I love this module. This was life-changing for me. This was a just the linchpin in my personal development. So, learning how to understand why our nervous systems get stuck in overdrive in today's world and how to recognize dysregulation and how to bring ourselves manually out of that dysregulation. It's life changing. I can't wait to share this one with you. In module 4, we're going to learn all about our current thinking. And then in module 5, we're going to learn how to change that thinking to something that is more useful, more helpful for us, that will create that calm, confident, and empowered life that you want to have. In addition to the course content, the videos, you will also get a coursework brick. It has over 100 pages full of exercises to help you apply the tools and skills to your unique classroom and life, okay, your situation. So the lesson content is powerful on its own. It's awesome. That would be worth it on its own. But the real transformation happens when you put the principles into practice. These exercises are designed to be a catalyst for that lasting change and the results you want. If you do the exercises, you will make you will progress a lot quicker. Um, I want to tell you really quickly about my friend Katie. Now, Katie is a phenomenal music teacher. I love her. She is brilliant. She's fun. She's funny. She's one of the funniest people I know. She's inspirational. Honestly, one of the best teachers I've ever known. But Katie had been through several difficult personal experiences in her life that left her nervous system chronically dysregulated. She was essentially in high alert mode almost all the time. So one day at lunch, she opened up to me about her struggles. Now, normally as life coaches, we don't offer unsolicited advice to our friends. It's a really quick way to annoy people. But I could see she was struggling. So I asked her if she'd ever heard about regulating a nervous system. And she hadn't. So I offered to show her. And she agreed. And I guided her through the same process that I teach in this course. And a year later, she's not even the same person. Now, her inner world has completely shifted. Her nervous system is calmer. Her sense of peace has grown. And while her circumstances haven't changed, her experience of those circumstances has dramatically improved. And she's still brilliant, fun, and funny, and all those amazing things. Then there's my client, Chris. Now, Chris came to teaching as a second career. After years in manufacturing management, he decided at age 45 to become a middle school science teacher. I love his story. But like many of us, he was not prepared for the emotional toll of teaching. Managing students, he discovered, was far more challenging than managing adults in a factory. And he found himself struggling with the weight of emotions that so many of us are familiar with. Chris and I worked together through this Calm in the Classroom framework, and he recently told me in one of our sessions that he can see how not knowing how to manage emotions held him back his entire life. Okay, so it's been incredible to watch him learn how to process his emotions, how to harness the power of his brain, and to step fully into his skills and talents and become an amazing teacher for his lucky students. Oh, sorry, but my mic. Perhaps the my favorite teacher story though is Michelle's story. Michelle works as a part of her school support staff. She's a social worker. She loved her role at the school. She loved offering additional services for some struggling students. And she found, however, that she was unable to let go of some of the things that were happening at school and what was going on with some of her students. She found herself spinning in worry and concern for her students after school, in the middle of the night, throughout the weekends. She was constantly living in fear that she hadn't done enough. Now, this, as you can imagine, cost her so much mental and emotional and physical energy, and it wasn't even productive. All that worry and stress didn't actually do anything to help her students. Michelle, as she went through this process, this framework, she realized that she was spinning an over responsibility. She, through a beautiful desire to do good and be helpful, was trying to control things that she actually couldn't control. She was trying to take responsibility for things that were in fact not hers to own. So she learned how to redirect her brain to focus on those things over which she did have control, to put her energy into productive tasks and to stop ruminating endlessly like she was, which, like I said, wasn't useful. She realized that she didn't have to allow her brain to spiral in a never-ending cycle of fear and dread. Okay, and she also realized, this is my favorite part, that she was doing fantastic, phenomenal work supporting her students. Okay, by dropping that unnecessary emotional pain, she had more energy, ironically, to devote to her actual responsibilities and show up for her students in a way that felt good and authentic to her. Okay, so some of you might be asking yourself or wondering who is this for? Who is this really for? I just gave you a couple examples of teachers that have done this. And the truth is this is for any teacher who maybe walks out of one class and thinks, why that just ruined my whole day. Now my whole day's ruined. This is for a teacher who replays conversations on the drive home and wishes they could just let it go but can't. Okay, maybe you care deeply about your students. You love teaching, but you're tired of carrying the weight of every behavior, every email, and every tough moment. You don't want to feel reactive anymore. You don't want to feel completely drained by 3 p.m. and have nothing left for your loved ones. If you want to feel steady, if you want to feel clear, if you want to feel in control, no matter what the day throws at you, if you've ever thought, I know I'm a good teacher, but why does this feel so hard? Okay, this is for you. If you've ever felt any of these ways, or you're spiraling, or you know what this is like, you're exactly the person I created this course for. Okay, you are doing a great job. You just need a better way to carry what is already on your plate. Okay. Now, the number one thing that keeps teachers from learning how to make these three shifts is the belief that it's not going to make a difference or that they can't make a difference. Okay. Teaching is exhausting and it can leave us feeling burnt out. So you might think, why bother? Teaching is hard and what I do doesn't even matter. And guys, that is total baloney. Okay. Let me be honest with you. This course won't make all your problems disappear. Teaching will always have challenges, but this course can change you. You'll know how to help yourself, and by extension, your students, and your classroom will thrive. So when you change, your environment responds, okay? Think of it like a dance, okay? Maybe you've been tangoing with your circumstances. Stay with me here. And maybe even tangoing and you decide now I'm going to waltz. Okay? If you start waltzing and everyone else is tangoing, they have to change and react to you in and adjust to your new your new way of going throughout your life. Okay? You get to be the change. Everything else will change around you when you change your environment response. Um, one empowered teacher can create more peace and joy in the classroom, and that has a ripple effect that changes the entire environment. Okay, that's how you change the world, right? It start with you, start with what you can control, and there's a ripple effect. So ignore that voice that says you're not enough or you're not smart enough or that you should play small. That's that primitive brain again that is trying to keep you safe. Okay, it prefers familiar emotional pain over the temporary discomfort of real growth. Okay, you're not meant to play small. You have important work to do, and your brain's misfirings should not stop you from making a difference. Okay. Um, Okay, back to our logistics. Now, in addition to the lessons and the workbook, you'll also get direct Q&A access to me and my team. If you have questions about the course, what you're learning, how to apply concepts to you and your situation, all you have to do is shoot us an email and we'll get right back to you. You'll also have access to free tech support should you run into any problems with the course interface. It's really a really simple course design, really easy to navigate, so I don't anticipate any problems, but I want to make sure that you have access to that as well, so it's a smooth process for you, okay? Now, when I created this course, I had two options. I could price it really, really cheap, as cheaply as possible, and aim for really high enrollment. But that would actually limit the support and value that I could provide for my students. So choosing a slightly higher investment allows my team and I to fully support you and ensure your success. So I went with the second option. My goal is for you to get a real return on your investment, lasting change in your teaching and in your career. Okay. So with all this course content, the value is $299. But because you're here on this webinar, I want to reward your commitment for being with me. We're over an hour. I'm going to try to wrap this up, guys. I want to reward your commitment to learning how to change your brain. So I'm offering a special discount for you webinar attendees, nearly 40% off the regular price, bringing your investment in this Calm in the Classroom course to just $179. Now, for that, you get the full module course, the 100-page workbook, direct access to me and team, plus the tech support. Okay, so maybe in the Q&A, tell me what you think about that. And I didn't want to stop there. Like I said, I want to make sure you see real results. So I'm including some bonuses, real tools, real guidance, real support that are designed to 10x your progress. Okay. So at the risk of sounding like an infomercial guy, wait, I have more. Okay. Remember, I promised those special bonuses at the beginning. Here they are. Okay. And they aren't just random extras, they are carefully chosen to help you succeed as you work through the course and start creating that lasting change. So I'm going to go through these bonuses really quickly, and then we'll get to our drawing for the $100 Amazon gift card. So if you haven't already, maybe drop a comment in the Q&A. Let me know what you think about this framework for changing your brain. Okay, I'd love to hear where your head's at, what you're thinking. Um, so let's do it. Okay, the first bonus is free access to monthly group coaching sessions. Okay, this is something I haven't ever included with the course before. Normally, these sessions are a separate investment. Usually, they are $59 a month. But if you enroll in the Calm in the Classroom today, you'll get 12 months of live Q&A sessions with me at no extra cost. Okay, in these sessions, I'll answer your questions, I will coach you through challenges, and I will help you apply the course concepts if you're feeling stuck. Okay, it's a really powerful way to get extra support, to stay accountable, and connect with a community of teachers that are building the same skills. So at $59 a month, for 12 months, that's a $708 value, bringing the total value of this offer up to $1,007. But I didn't even want to stop there, guys. I'm a huge believer in the power of coaching, and I believe that everyone deserves a life coach. So I'm including one free one-on-one session with me. Okay, you can bring any challenge or any situation, any tough moment that you've faced, and we'll work through it together. Whether it's applying a tool from the course or practicing a skill or whatever, we'll do it via Zoom. You can schedule it at a time that works for you and using an online calendar. And normally a one-time individual coaching session is $89, but for this first session, you won't pay a dime. Okay, that brings the total value of this package up to $1,096. One of the best parts. Third bonus, one of the best parts of this course is connecting with others who are on the same journey, to know that you're not alone. That's why you'll get access to our private Facebook group, the Calm Classroom Collective. This is a positive, solutions-focused space where you can connect with fellow teachers, you can discuss real classroom situations, You can share support and encouragement. You can learn from others' experience. It's not a gripe space, okay? There are plenty of those for free on the internet, okay? This is about forward thinking and problem solving. So my team moderates the group to keep it productive. And while it costs me to run, you are going to get access for free as part of your course process or sorry, course package. So with the course, the monthly group sessions, the one-on-one session, and the Facebook group, the total value is up to $1,155. Bonus number four is a course progress journal. Now, starting something new is easier when you stay organized. That's why my team and I created a course progress journal to help you track your progress. There is space and I forgot to show you. Here's the workbook. I forgot my visuals. There's space in here for you to set goals, to schedule your sessions, to do some of the emotional and cognitive work here. There's space for all of that right here in this course progress journal. There's inspiring quotes and monthly, weekly, daily calendars. So we've included that digital file for free for all the webinar participants. Okay, so normally that we'd sell that for about, oops, I didn't need to set that timer. Normally we'd sell that for about $29, but for you webinar attendees, we're going to throw that in for free. Okay. So the total value, if my math is right, is up to $1,184. Okay. Fifth and final bonus, guys. As I put these together, none of them were random. Okay. Each one was designed to overcome a specific obstacle as you work through the Calm in the Classroom course. So even with all the tools, even with all the skills you learned, there's still going to be tough days. A student will shout obscenities at you, or a parent threatens your job, or all the things that we've talked about. It happens to all of us. So that's why I created the 5-minute teacher reset. This is a system that will help you recover from those tough days. There's a video that is included to walk you through the process, or you can use a worksheet if you prefer an independent approach. But this tool is perfect for those moments when you're feeling stressed, discouraged, and triggered, and it helps you get back on track fast. Phew. Okay, so let's quickly recap everything in this special offer. The course package, valued at $299, the group coaching sessions, the one-on-one coaching session, the Facebook group, the progress journal, and the 5-minute teacher reset system. The total value of this package is $1,203. Okay, so let me ask you really quickly, what would it be worth to you? Think about it for a minute. What would it be worth to walk into your classroom every day feeling calm and in control, to recover when you have those tough moments, to leave school with energy left for yourself and your family instead of carrying all that stress home for you? What would it be worth to finally break the cycle of frustration, to feel confident managing your students and interacting with others and actually enjoy teaching again? Now, maybe you can see with these kinds of results why doctors, lawyers, CEOs, and others pay such a premium for access to these tools and this kind of knowledge, okay? So the value of this webinar offer is 1,203, but I'm not asking you to pay that. I'm going to give you everything I just showed you in this package for that same one low price, one-time price of 179. Okay, this isn't a gimmick or anything like that. I truly believe in these tools and I believe in you. I believe in teachers, and I know that with the right skills, you can transform your classroom, you can manage your stress better, and your teaching life. Okay, all of it will can improve for the better. This course will give you the long-term solution to overwhelm, anxiety, stress. It equips you to show up as a teacher that you want to be calm, confident, and control without sacrificing, well, I mean, everything else in your life. Okay. Um, so even with all those bonuses and discounts, some of you might still feel a bit of sticker shock, and that's completely normal. That's okay. But remember, outside of this webinar, this course is listed at my website for $299, and that's without any of the extras or any of the bonuses that you're getting today. So by showing up to this webinar or watching the replay, for those of you that are watching this tomorrow, you've already proven that you're ready to learn, to grow and to stop that emotional spiral and improve that teaching experience. Okay, your journey is already underway. Now, if you were to hire a coach to teach you all this content and guide you one-on-one through every skill and every exercise that I've included in this course, it could easily cost you $10,000 or more. Okay, but because you're learning on your own at your own pace with all the tools, resources, and support that you need to help you and even accelerate your results, you can get it all today for just $179. I am going to drop in the chat. Sorry, let me find my link here. I'm going to drop in the chat the link to that order form that you can use today. Okay, let me pull this back up. Sorry. Now I got to find the chat. Um, Sorry. You think we would all know Zoom by now perfectly. Okay. In the chat, I'm going to drop a link to that bundle, to that order form, where you can grab that. And also, you should have an email in your inbox by now, if I timed it right, that also has the link in there and all the information in there for you. Okay. So at this point, you also have two choices. You can choose to do nothing. And if you do, that's okay. No hard feelings, right? This work is not for everyone. You can choose to simply walk away from this class and let all the information that you've learned over the past hour just fade away. And if you do, nothing likely will change, and that's okay, right? Your career, your classroom, your stress levels, they'll probably stay the same. Or you can choose to take a leap of faith. You can try it. You can see if it works for you. You can learn all the skills and tools that I've taught you about today. Learn how to make those three shifts and just see if it works. And I want to make this as easy and completely risk-free as possible for you. Okay. That's why I'm offering a 30-day free trial. Okay. Watch the course. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I'm offering a 30-day trial. Watch the course videos, complete the exercises, apply the tools and strategies to your own situations. And if after 30 days you're not seeing any improvement, I will give you every penny back. No questions asked. Okay. That means there's literally no risk to you, just the opportunity to see real change in your classroom and in your life. So the real question is it worth investing just a few minutes a day to try the Calm in the Classroom course? You can start to see real results in as little as 5 to 10 minutes a day. And even if this course only delivers half of what I promised, the skills, the tools, the knowledge you will gain will be worth it within the first couple of weeks. So the real question is, are you ready to take control of your own emotional well-being? Are you ready to stop being victim to those tough moments that we all have? Um, if you are, again, you can click on that link that I just dropped in the chat, not the Q&A, but the chat. And if it's not for you right now, that's okay. No hard feelings. I hope that you've walked away with something that can be useful for you today. Okay, one last look at everything you're getting for this one low price. Here's a quick recap. And you guys, I couldn't help it. I had to do one last bonus, okay? But it's only available if you enroll within the next 30 minutes after this presentation. Okay, if you sign up right now and before the 30-minute timer runs out, I will give you premium access to the Calm in the Classroom private podcast feed for free. Okay, now what is this? This is the audio from all the course videos delivered straight to a private podcast feed that you can add to your favorite podcast app. Okay, this means that you can listen and learn on the go while you're going for a walk, while you're commuting to school, while you're hanging up bulletin boards or student artwork, while you're doing dishes or cleaning the house or walking the dog. This bonus makes it even easier to absorb and apply these skills. So you can start rewiring your brain anytime and anywhere. Okay. After this 30-minute window, you can still get access to this, but it will only be available for, or sorry, but it will, for a cost. It's $59 regularly to have the premium access. However, if you enroll now, it's yours completely free. So don't wait. Join the growing community of teachers and start creating a calmer, happier, and more empowered life in your classroom right now. Um, so just to make sure you sing everything you're getting one last time, here's that recap, okay? Adding that private podcast in there, the total value is up to $1,262, all for just $179, you guys. I'm really excited to share this with you, and I hope that that you have found something useful today and that you oh, someone's saying there's nothing in the chat. Okay, that's weird. Zoom. Okay, give me a second to figure that out. Um, and we'll get that. Okay, let's skip ahead. Let's go to, I didn't forget. Don't worry. Okay, I put a slide in here because one time I did this and completely forgot to do the drawing. Okay, but don't worry. My assistant Riley has pulled all the comments and has numbered them. Okay, and so we're gonna use Google here to randomly select three numbers. Okay, we have one person will win the $100 gift card, and then two people are going to get $50 off, a $50 off coupon. Okay, let me get my paper here. Okay. She's texting it to me. Give me one second. Okay. Um, okay, our first comment is comment 149. Kelly? Kelly, are you here? Kelly? Okay, so Kelly is it Staley? Stelly? Okay, Kelly. Okay, you won the $100 gift card. Congratulations. That's awesome. Let me write that down. Let's see. Our next comment, waiting for the drawing, is comment 217. Aaron. Okay. Aaron Hanlon Young. Okay. Awesome. And one more. Comment number 49. Where is it? Will that zoom up? Okay. Sorry, you guys. You think we would know Zoom by now? Okay. One second. Comment 49 is Kara Hartman. Awesome. Okay, you, Karen and Era, Kara and Aaron, sorry, you both will receive a code for $50 off if you want to join. Okay, so congratulations to all of you. Okay, if you are a winner, I've got your names. We'll try to reach out to you, but if you want to double check, go ahead and email us at the team at brennanelsoncoaching.com so we can send your prize or discount code to you. Okay, I've got your names. Don't worry, but just to double check us. Okay, awesome. Okay, they're still here. Awesome, you guys. Congratulations. Okay, the chat. Let's see if we can look at that really quick. Is that not coming? Let me change that. I might have to change this to. Oh, it was on host and panelists. Okay, let me try it again. Oh, that wasn't it. One second, guys. Oh, I even practiced this so that this wouldn't happen. Hang on. Copy that link one more time. Head back to the chat. Okay. Boom. There we go. The link is in the chat. Hopefully you can all see that. Now, again, if you don't see that, it should be in your inbox right now. I think we had an email scheduled to go out. So that is available for you. Um, one last time, that 30-minute clock is going to be ticking. Oh, I messed up the timer when I accidentally clicked that. Okay. You get an extra 3 seconds. Okay, so that 30-minute clock is ticking. So go ahead and click on the link in the chat box or your inbox, like I said, and get immediate and lifetime access to the Common the Classroom course, plus all of these bonus offers. You don't need me to go over them all again, but don't wait because that premium private podcast with the course audio that you can use to listen on the go is only available for the next 30 minutes. So the doors are open on this offer for a limited time, okay, with all the bonuses. So get yourself signed up today. Remember, 12, $1,262 value for $179. Okay, I'm so excited to share this with you. Thank you so much for being here today. Um, sign up now so you don't miss out. And you guys are awesome. Thank you for what you do as teachers. Thank you for the service you provide to your students and to your communities. You guys are awesome. I love teachers. Love you guys. Thanks for being here. If you have questions, drop them in the Q&A. I'm way over time because I talk too much. I like to geek out on this stuff. So if you have questions, I will take your questions and I will put them in an email. Okay, so I will get that out to you tomorrow with any of the questions that I didn't have time to answer today. So I'll leave this up live for a minute if you have more questions, and I promise I will get back to you. Okay, so drop them in there, and that's it, you guys. I come join us. Come learn how to change your brain, how to empower yourself and expand your capacity, and create a life you love, guys, in and out of the classroom. Okay, I'm so excited to go on this journey with you. So go ahead and click that button and enroll now. Okay, that's it, you guys. Have the best night, and I will see you later. Bye.